All right, we are back. Hopefully, this is a little bit better. Again, we are not in the normal fired up setting. Office is being revamped over there. We're doing some things, and we're over here in this office. So, again, picture the fire, picture the flames behind me, picture the fire in your belly on a Monday. We are here on a Monday live. Let's see if we can get some of you back on. I apologize. And yeah, so jump in the comments. Let me know what you're fired up about today. If you want to jump on and get fired up with me, by all means, we could do it. Taz jumped on last week. So it's Monday. You got to be fired up about something. Something's going on in your world, in your life, in your business, in some capacity. Let us know what's going on. Jump in the comments. Taz is here Monday. What are we fired up about? I'm a little fired up about things going on internally here. We're really making a lot of changes. We're making a lot of strides in technology and training our team. And one of the things I talk about all the time is gold collar, right? We talk about gold collar and what gold collar actually is. When we set out a couple of years ago, I started that term, that phrase. I said, we're not white collar, we're not blue collar, we're a gold collar industry. It's much different than what the rest of the world is operating on. We're gold, baby. So what does that mean? There's a lot of different things that went into it. We put the gold collar, the 10 gold collar commandments up on YouTube over on Maliki TV. We had some fun with that, okay? I'm not saying those are set in stone. But it's a start. And we're talking about soft skills, right? We're talking about our technicians with soft skills. And every technician is a little different. You have your A guys, your B guys, right? Everyone has different credentials, different attitudes, different approaches to their job and to life in general. So gold collar. Internally, before we start turning things over to thefedgroup.com, which is being redone, we're going to do some gold collar stuff over there for sure. Listen, it's about what you got in here, right? A lot of it has to do with what you got in here in your DNA. So what we're doing here internally is bringing one of our senior technicians in that has been through it all over the last 2 decades. He is a top performer. He is personable. Everyone likes him. Everyone wants to talk to him. He's there to help the team. So this guy is going to really help us, cultivate everybody else around us, the new people coming in, the guys that have been here, and dig in to making what Maliki Cares. We want to be fired up about our brand, Maliki Cares. I'm sure you're fired up about your brand. By putting together intimate sessions where we go in to Gold Collar University criteria. I just started flushing this out and putting this all together. Flushing.
Fleshing.
Is it flesh?
It's fleshing it out.
I'm fleshing it out.
Yes.
So you flush a toilet bowl. So we're not flushing this. So before we started, I sat down with our guy and I said, what do we want to drive home to these guys? Because one of the reasons I really wanted to talk about this is I'm looking to create. I want A guys, I want the B guys that are here to want to be A guys. And if you're a C guy, I want you to want to be a B guy. So how do we get there? How do we understand the inner workings? Because we want everyone to be big top performers, right? We want to increase our profitability, increase our revenue. And, I don't know if it's always about adding more technicians. What about taking the guys you got and getting the most out of every one of them? If everyone was like this one guy that's going to help me put this class together, it'd be a different story. The company would look different. So it's not always about saying, oh, we need 5 more techs. Why don't you look at the 5 techs you might have or the 10 techs you might have or however many and create more efficiencies there? So, we wanted to drill that down. The first thing he said, I think that we need to ask is this a career or is this a job? And then from there, we could really understand how you're going to move and how we're going to get you excited to go from job to career guy. I think when you set out in your day, if it's just a job, it's a run out the clock situation. I just got to get in. I got to get in my van. I got to go run around and do my thing. And it's almost 3:30, 4 o'clock, and I'm done. You know, that mentality, you know, I'm sure there's thousands, if not millions of people that have a run out the clock mentality, a run out the clock job. Because they're just not happy, and maybe they're miserable for whatever reason that might be. Maybe it's not enough pay, but it's not always about money. Money's not the ultimate driver every time. So we have to figure out what those drivers are as well. So we're going to talk to these guys, and we're going to find out what makes them tick, what makes them move. And even though I might have had a lot of these technicians here for 10 years, 15 years, I don't know if I know what makes them really tick. Money's not always the ultimate motivator. It's not the only thing. You know, sometimes people just want to spend more time with their family. Maybe they just want more time off. You know, some people just want to travel. They want to travel more. You know, how can we as a company make this place better for each individual, not just as a company as a whole? Because there's things we'll do for a company as a whole, but when we sit down, we have to, you know, create something that's going to be an employment agreement that's going to be good for the individual. So if anyone has anything on what we're talking about here today, jump in the comments. If you want to get on, please let me know. You know, some of the things we're going to talk about, there's 3 words that we're going to talk about: pride, honor, and care. It has to be care because that's the tagline. Fired up about Malachi Cares. The care, right? Be fired up about your brand. Pride, the consciousness of one's own dignity, a feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction derived from one's own achievements. You know, you talk to some of these A-game techs, they have pride in what they do, and they really care about the customer. They care about when they walk in there. I mean, this guy, I'll tell you, when he walks in there and that thing is down, all he can think about is that gratification he's going to get when he walks out of there and that thing is working. And he knows now that these people are going to be able to do whatever they got to do for their dinner service, continue to pay their employees, continue to feed their customers.
The circle?
Oh, no, I'm back.
You're back. That's strange. Yeah, no, everything's good.
All right. Well, I don't know. I don't know what's happening here.
It's just a different location.
Yeah, I apologize if the Wi-Fi is cutting in and out. If anyone could jump in the comment and let me know if you see me and you hear me well. Back to pride. Taking pure pleasure in getting customers up and running. Honor, adherence to what is right or to a conventional standard of conduct, high respect, great esteem. You need to have pride and honor in your blood every single day. I mean, you guys are out, you know, these technicians are out in the trenches. They're face to face with everything. You got to have those 2 traits. And then caring, feeling concern or interest, attach importance to something. Lead your day with pride and honor and care for the people around you. You know, it maybe it's not that easy. Maybe it shouldn't be that easy. But that's what gold collar really is. That's what gold collar is. It's doing the things that aren't easy every single day and putting your best foot forward. Then we're going to talk about some interesting things. I'm not going to get into all the points, but you know, in this industry, you know, listen, we have, as service companies, really ultimately, we sell 2 things. We sell time and we sell parts. So when you're sitting in the offices and you're with your operation teams and your service team, and you're looking at your business, service, labor, and parts. Those are the 2 big things that we sell. Okay? One of them you can't touch, which is time. You can't see it, you can't touch it. So it can get tricky, especially with customers seeing, you know, 4 hours here and 5 hours there. And then you got the $1,000 control board or the $1,500 motor or whatever it might be. So we have to do the right thing. You know, we've added technology. We're showing pictures and video. We're showing the time. We're showing the parts. We're showing it. We're giving them the snapshot, right? That's what we're doing here. But ultimately, we're trying to increase productivity. So when you're doing that, You have to be very conscious of your surroundings. You have to know your customer. And listen, again, not easy. These are not easy things. So we want to, and listen, it's not about upselling parts that are not needed, okay? I know there's all this, do I need this? Do I need this? Because I feel the same way sometimes. And maybe Lisa knows when she goes to get her car fixed or wherever we go. Do I really need the rotary girder? I mean, I don't know. Do we need the flux capacitor? Do I need it?
I don't even know what those are.
Exactly.
Those are parts of cars?
Sure.
Really?
Yeah.
No, you're joshing me.
Do you know the Brooklyn Bridge?
Yes.
It's for sale. Did you want to buy it?
Yes.
So sometimes you question mechanics and technicians and businesses and say, do I really need these things? I get it. I'm a human. I interact with other service businesses as well for my home and different things. But, when you get to know a company that you use, like I have a plumber in town I use, I trust him. And I know he does the right thing and he gives me fair price. And listen, I use him all the time. Build the trust with a service company in your area and see the difference. That's not what we're talking about, but that's a piece of the puzzle. And back to the gold collar, and we sell parts. We have to be able to sell the part when the time comes. And our technicians need to be able to forecast when they're looking at something, they're performing that diagnostic. They need to say, okay, listen, you know what? We have, it might just be a standard oven, simple, gas valve, safety valve, TS11, BASO, whatever it is, thermocouple, simple basic unit. My dad always used to say, don't just change that thermocouple. Because you're going to have, listen, the kiss of death is callback. We don't like to hear those words. Callback. It's a callback. We don't want to hear that. We want to sell the thermocouple and the safety valve in tandem every single time, quite honestly, because we want to alleviate that callback. It happens so many times, you just replace the valve, and then 3 weeks later, the pilot's out again. Oh, what happened? Hey, XYZ, did you change the thermocouple too? No, it didn't seem to. You should have changed the thermocouple. So we need to make sure that we're doing things proactively, so as to not get those callbacks and to do the right thing. I think in my eyes, and I think in many of these service companies' eyes,
We're back.
we're here.
Yeah.
Guys, stick with us. Thank you. All right, let's jump to some comments. Let's see.
A couple comments actually disappeared on us when we came back. That sucks. But...
Well, if you're here, can you please put back your comments? I apologize for the Wi-Fi problems today. Great stuff. The desire to be at work and the need to work are often defined differently by everyone. Very true. We don't know who that is.
I think I could bring up the...
He's back. Somebody said he's back. I am back. Thank God. Here we go.
All right. You're live. That's
Gigawatts,
Taz.
flux capacitor on back order due to being stuck in the Suez Canal. Yeah. So back to that time and parts. And then one of the things, a lot of the things we want to drill down as well. There's someone in the industry that I respect dearly, and there was talk one time at a conference about customers or reps or dealers or anyone just kind of calling him up and going, hey, your guy's on the phone with the manufacturer for the last half hour, and this doesn't look good. And his answer was simply, well, do you know everything about everything you do? Would you like him to guess, or would you like him to know? So we don't know everything. Nobody knows everything about everything, Lisa.
Nope.
There's support systems in place for everything for a reason. We utilize it. Sometimes the technician will have to call a manufacturer from the field. We don't want to guess. We want to know. So, and look at when you're maybe, just maybe, if there's a technician or a business out there that works on one thing and one thing only, maybe you don't need to call manufacturing. If you are, maybe that's a red flag. But these guys are working on a Rational combi oven at 8 a.m. They're working on a Groen steamer at 10 a.m. They're working on a Pitco fryer at 1:30 p.m. They're 4 o'clock rolls around, customer needs us, and now they're working on a Cleveland Range tilt skillet. These are all different animals. These are all, a lot of the concepts might be the same, gas and electric and all that, great, but these are all different pieces of equipment. They all have different parts, different components, and there's different things going on. So we don't want to be in the guesswork business. We want to be in the know business. So yes, we're going to be talking about that. Don't be afraid to call the manufacturer. You can't know everything. Quality and efficiency are key factors to each call. And on that diagnostic time, the time spent talking with our top, one of our top performers. If you're spending more than an hour to diagnose something, there might be something wrong. We need to, and listen, that goes, there's probably, each day, each piece of equipment, things can change. There's different variables, but ultimately, we want to get into these customers in and out. We want to diagnose. If we have the part, we want to say, hey, we have the part, here's what it is. We don't want to spend 3 hours on the diagnostic. We don't want to spend 2.5 hours on a diagnostic. That's a red flag. That is a red flag. If you're after the first hour, you need to call the service manager and let's talk this out. What's going on? Because again, we sell time, and I can tell you right now, from sitting here in this business with my dad since 99, 2000, 20 years, the best of the best are in and out. Most of their tickets, especially if we're quoting something, is 1 and 1. What does that mean? 1 hour, 1 service charge, 1 trip charge. That's it. We're not spending 2.5 hours to come back and say, hey, I need a solenoid valve and a gasket. And it's just not heard of on top performers tickets. It just doesn't happen. So we're going to talk about that, through this. And this, listen, I'm going to build Gold Collar University through Malachi Parts and Service. And then we're going to kind of re-engineer it for Fed Group, Fed Nation, for the industry. And we'll be putting stuff out there. We'll be having, and by the way, with your Fed Group membership, Food Equipment Digital Disruptor membership, you're going to get these videos. You're going to get to see the insight, and it's not going to just be from me. I'm going out to the industry, to the veterans. Okay, I'm not the only voice here. I'm not the smartest guy in the room by any means. But I guess what? I know the smartest guys that are in the room, and I'm going to bring them to the table to talk about Gold Collar, to talk about what it takes to build your business full of top performers, and just blow it up, just crush it. I mean, that's what we want to do. And another point is, he also mentioned the one-man show company, pretending in his head every day. If you treat your company like this company like your company, would you pay for your service? That's what he thinks these things. If I hand some guy a ticket at the end and I tell you, hey, here, sign here. Would I want to sign it? Would I want to pay for it? That's a great way to live. That's a great way to live through your career. This is your company. If you work for a service company, I don't care whether it's Malachi, whether it's Windy City with Josh. This is your company. If this company succeeds, you succeed. So what you do every day, your actions every day, directly affect everybody else. From the phones in the office, these are direct lines to customers. You're face to face with them. You're a direct line. If you walk in with the Malachi logo, you represent Malachi. They're not going to remember Joe, the tech. They're going to remember Malachi. But you want them to remember Joe. It's connected to Malachi. And that's the important thing. It's Gold Collar. We got comments here?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead. Wait, a combi oven and a tilt skillet don't have the same parts?
Amazingly enough, I don't think they do.
Oh boy, I don't know how to use your laptop here.
Sorry.
All that.
Oh.
That's it for right now.
That's pretty much it. All right. Well, listen. We also another very important trait for Gold Collar, and this happens all the time. I'm going to end with this one because, damn, this is important. Showing confidence when you walk through the door, letting them know. I mean, you don't want to walk into a doctor where you're getting a checkup and he's going, "Well, Lisa, I've never seen this before." If a doctor tells you he's never seen this before, that's a problem.
I'd probably run away.
That's a problem. So when you walk into a customer and you're sitting there and you've got the side panel down and you're got your meter out and you're just looking at this and you start going, and the manager's like 2 feet away from you or the owner, and I've never seen this before. Please don't do that. Okay? You could think it. It could be true. That's fine. We're not going to always walk into something and have seen everything. The customer can't know. Okay? The customer can't know that. It's just that's 101. And then attached to that also is don't ever say, I don't care what piece of equipment, I don't care what manufacturer, I don't care if you're factory authorized for it or you're not factory authorized for it. I don't care. You never say that the piece of equipment you're working on sucks. You never say it's a piece of garbage. Every piece of equipment you're working on is the best damn piece of equipment out there. You bought a great piece of equipment. Doesn't matter. Listen, and I said this before, there's diarrhea of the mouth that happens out there, and we're not paid for. The technician is not being paid for his opinion. He's being paid to repair the thing and get it back up and running. And I always tell my guys, look, you know what? Give me a call after the call at the end of the day. Let's talk about it. Talk about the craziness and tell me how you really feel. We can't tell the customer that. It's disrespectful. It's not right. And
look who's joining us.
Look at this. Monday morning. I see his smiles. Just bring him in.
What's up?
There he is. What's up, Dad?
Hi,
Hey,
Ted.
Good morning.
I thought I'd jump in on it. I had to jump in on this one. I see I see that in so many work orders, what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The tech was out here and he said we shouldn't buy this piece of machinery again and they need to get us a new machine.
Terrible.
I'm like
It's terrible.
like what you're killing me, Smalls. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's a 3-year-old fryer. Like, cut me some slack, right?
Yes.
Like, you gotta try to fix it, right? I mean, I mean, so you got a 15-year-old Giles out there, and they've caught it on fire 7 times. Yeah, you know what? Let's talk. Yep, you know what?
Yeah.
You're probably right. But that's
Yes.
again, now that's a different conversation, right? There's one thing to go to a customer and go, "Hey, I understand you're in a corporate world and you can't just like get me a new fryer. Like you can't just automatically pull that trigger, but you should really talk to your people about, some capital investment on this, right?" And that's the thing. I've done a lot of ride-alongs with some really good technicians, and you're spot on, right? Like you talk about that language that they have with the customers. I have been with 2 different technicians that I'm telling you, they walked up to a machine right in front of me and had never seen it before. And I didn't realize it, right? Because they didn't let on, right? And, and I'll tell you, one of them, he had the panel open and he goes, "Oh, I think I've got this part out in my truck." Okay, cool. So me and this guy had, we tell the deli manager, he says, "I think I've got this part out in my truck." We head out to the truck. He gets out the truck and he goes, "I'm going to level with you. I've never seen that machine before." He goes, "But my buddy over here." So he calls, right? And he calls his buddy down the street and he goes, "You ever seen this?" And he goes, "Yeah, I was in there the other day." He goes, "Check for this, check for this, check for this." And so we go walking back in there, and he checks for the things he was told to check for, and swaps out a couple of fuses on this thing, and bam, it's up and running again. And so all of a sudden, the deli manager sees this guy go out to his truck and come back, and magic happens, right? And so now that's that gold collar, right? There's that confidence. They're calling again. They're calling back on it. So I love it, man. I'm fired up with you, right? That language to the customer. That's the big one, man. Don't. I've never seen this before. Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean it's just it blows my mind sometimes too, because these guys have been at it for a long time. I had one guy just flat out admit it. A lot of times they don't admit it. Just like the end of last year, this guy, I was like, "Hey, listen, I just got a call from the manufacturer. That's how fast these things could happen. It said you said this is a piece of shit." I said, "Is this true?" He said, "You're damn right it is." I said, "Oh my God." Yeah. I said, you can't say that. I'm like, we represent these manufacturers. We represent ourselves. We have to do it with respect. And so that's the whole point of like this gold collar thing. It's like we got to teach them more. So we're putting something together in house now, and I'm going to have one of our senior guys drive it home.
It's awesome. Sounds good to me. I'm loving it. Yeah, but I see it in the work orders all the time. What you're talking about, I see it all the time. So, let's fired up for it.
Oh yeah, and what else? What else can we? Now that I got you on here, I was talking about calling manufacturers from site, and I let a lot of people are like, "Oh, Mom, I'm paying for your technicians to learn," and it's about not guessing, and it's about knowing. So sometimes we have to make that phone call, and sometimes it takes a half hour. Sometimes it takes a half hour just to get through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially now. I think we were talking about. I think they were talking about this. In the service council, right? Like, in the 80s and the 90s, you had John and Sue and Eddie. That was like sitting on the telephone, for any company, right? Like they all had them. Like you name a company, they had them. And then in the 90s and especially the early 2000s, that stuff started getting outsourced. And then, if it wasn't outsourced, it just went away, right? And some went to a more digital platform, right? Like some have the online Q&A, and kudos to them for trying to get a little better with that, but you know how it is, right? Sometimes it's clunky. Some of them have great triage tools that, they're almost like Google. My oven wants to not fire up at 3 p.m. when I'm trying to cook pizza, and they go, "Have you tried it?" Some people have, some manufacturers have some great tools out there. But yeah, unfortunately, gone are the days where, you had this whole team of engineers kind of in the back room, just, waiting for that call. In this day and age, if you got an engineer on your payroll, they need to be designing the stuff for 2025, right? Not answering the phone call about the stuff you put out in 2015. That's the mentality, right? In the 80s, it was the exact opposite. The engineers were there to talk about the stuff that was in the fleet. And then you had the research and development folks in the back that's coming out with the new stuff. Nowadays, they're the same people, right? They're wearing the same lab coat. So it's all about those dividends and that bottom line, right? And of course, being in the food industry, we understand that tight line all too well, I'm afraid. So
yeah, and that's time. So like I said, that's what I'm talking about. Time with Gold Collar. I mean, we sell time. It's it's one of those things that we're all fighting for every day in the service side. Explaining tons of explaining. Why an hour and a half? Why 2 hours? Why 4 hours? Sometimes there's valid reasons. Sometimes it's like, okay, what the customer's right. XYZ guy should have banged this out in an hour and a half. Why are we doing 3 hours here? And you drill it down, you look at it, and it's like, maybe we have to pay attention to that. Maybe our guys need a little bit more training in certain areas. And we can't. I wanted to let the guys know. Don't be afraid to say I don't know.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to get a new pair of eyes on it. Then we have to roll it back and say, okay, you know what? Let's get you some more training on this. But and that's the other thing with the time. You're lingering out there 3-4 hours. After that first hour, pick up the phone, call the service manager, and say, listen, this is where I'm at in the last hour. I want to get them up and running, and I think I might be one or two things, but I need to be walked through it with a couple of maybe like one of our senior techs walk us through a couple of things. So we're not, spending all this time that's unnecessary. We have to get these. We're looking for billable hours, and just raising your hand and saying, "Hey, listen, I don't know. Let's get another guy in here." I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with spending 6 hours and then I have to build a customer for these 6 hours. It's hard to do that. It's hard. It's hard ethically, and it's just hard in general.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I can tell you when I used to do training for building controls. So they have 4 technical levels in building controls, and you tested to go up to the next level, right? So it was a test you studied and took, and you got like a raise and a promotion, right? So you went to the next pay band, and you tested on your technical ability with these building controls and energy management systems, right? And so, but one of the things that we taught right out the gate, like your first day, we taught you a set of 4 or 5 basic questions. And basically that was how you held on to the phone, right? So it was a hotline. So you took a phone call, right? And so you had a set of basic questions. And basically, if you could answer more than 50% of the questions, then you could go ahead and try to finish the call because you probably had enough information to get through the call. If you couldn't get to 50% of the answers you needed, that's when you asked for a Tech 2 or a Tech 3 or a Tech 4's help, right? And so once you get people in that mentality, and it's hard to do, right? Because you were talking earlier about pride. Sometimes there's a pride in just like some, and I hate it too, right? Like I hate to be sitting in front of something and just like, you stumped me. I got no idea. I hate being that guy, but it happens, right?
Yeah.
And so, when you get in that mentality, you walk up to a machine and go, okay, it's not doing this. I've checked this and this and this and this, and I have no answers. Okay, here's the deal. If you haven't come up with an answer in the first 5 minutes, like some kind of like burnt something's disconnected something, it's not that you're stumped, right? But you've stumbled into something difficult, right? So at that point, 5 minutes in is when you need to be like, right now, I know your senior techs are, they're like, oh, that means the young guys are gonna be calling me all the time. It may be, but here's the deal. They're going to build that and build that and build that. And pretty soon they're going to start taking those phone calls, right? And it's what you're talking about, right? Like you back that layer in, right? So before too long, the young guys or even the ones that are 1 or 2 years in are answering some of those, and you build in that and you build and build and build. And so just being able, like, that's the whole mentality. And that's, that's that gold collar, right? That's what you're talking about when you walk up to a machine and you're like, okay, I'm not getting power, right? So what are the basics, right? Where's the breaker?
Right.
Is it plugged in? Like, okay, I answered all of those. So let me check the fuses. Okay, now I'm stumped, right? Because here's the deal. You know how that is. It's a flip of a coin. Sometimes you go back there and the breaker's trip. Well, you flip that breaker and then it trips again and you go, okay, guess what? We got a problem with the machine, right?
Yep.
So now you got something to go on, right? It's not plumbing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not the gas line. You can eliminate all that. You can stop thinking about that. So it's hard to do though, right? It's a pride thing, and I get it, and it's tough. And it's especially tough, men and women that work in the trades. They work in the trades because they're mechanically minded. They love to turn a screwdriver and get a job done. Yeah. And to have to go, I need help with something. I don't know. It's hard for them, I think. So, but I think if we continue to sort of shake off that stigma, right, that like anybody that follows me on YouTube or Facebook has seen all this remodel I did, the 2 bathrooms I did in my house, right? And they're like, oh, wow, I can't believe you did all that stuff by yourself. And I'm like, let me tell you how many hours of YouTube videos I watched about shark bite connections. Right? Like, I didn't know how to do that stuff. I had to figure it out. I'm not one of these like do-it-yourself dads that pulls out his Makita, pack out and just goes to work. Like, I bet I dropped $200 in gas running back and forth to Lowe's. I just, but I got it done, right? And it's
there you go.
done, and if the sooner, like, that's the big thing, right? The quicker that your technicians figure out that being part of a team is not only finishing a job and doing a job well, but engaging and being part of a team that finishes and does a job well, right? Then that sort of hurt to the pride of not being able to finish a job by yourself kind of goes away, because then it's Malachi or Windy City or Walmart, whatever it is, right? And you really start to get that pride where your team shows up. If it's Rich or it's Josh or it's Taz, doesn't matter who shows up. They showed up with the cape on and got stuff done, right? And so that's what your team starts to build, and people hear that and they know that. And you know how it is. The techs are in the field, right? And they talk to the tech from the other company, and they start hearing that. They're like, hey, can you talk to Rich? Are you guys hiring? I could, my company sucks. I hate it. Right. No, I'm sorry to hear that. I'll throw a word at Rich for you, buddy. So that's where you build that pride. So yeah, you're right. Spot on. Don't be afraid to, it sucks, right? I hate being the one to go, I don't know what I'm doing, but yeah, don't do it in front of the customer. Walk out to your van, tell them you need a T27 star bit, and walk out to your van.
Yeah, exactly it. Yeah, that's gold collar, man. So what we've been at this thing. I've been on live for almost 40 minutes. Lisa, if you could see Lisa, she's got one eye open. She's like, what are these guys talking about?
I woke up when Taz was talking about doing his bathroom, because that was exactly me doing a bunch of stuff in my house. It's a good thing that I live about 3, 4, 5 blocks away from Lowe's, and so I was there 2, 3 times a day sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, I know enough to be dangerous, right? So I end up tearing something apart, and then it's like, well, guess what? You get to put it back together now. So.
The tearing apart is the most fun. That's the most fun.
But yeah, I have two functioning, freshly remodeled bathrooms now. So
beautiful.
So yeah,
beautiful thing right there. So what's on the agenda the rest of the day for you, Taz? What do you got going on?
I got some. I will tell you today, big thing for me today. We're working on uptime metrics. So we're talking about the value of the equipment in the store, right? So a forklift, for example, right? A store needs a forklift 24 hours a day, right? So it needs to be available 24 hours a day. Now we typically use rechargeable forklifts. Okay. So you have to take a maintenance cycle out of that, right? So if it takes 2 hours to recharge twice a day, so you can't use it for 4 hours, right? Now there's different ways to get around that, right? Like if you go to the Sam's Club team, they have stacks of battery packs, right? So when your battery runs low, you take your forklift over there and you swap out your battery pack. In Walmart, we typically just have the one forklift. So they'll unload a truck and then it goes back on the charger kind of thing. So it's all how the business works, right? But then take like our combi ovens, for example. So the deli's supposed to have hot stuff in the cases from 7 to 7, right? Mm-hmm. So that oven needs to be on and clicking from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., right? So that's its availability, right? So if it's down at 2 o'clock in the morning, nobody's panicking, so we don't count that against anyone's metrics, right? So if it's down at 2 o'clock in the morning, so if a tech shows up at 5 o'clock in the morning and he hasn't run in by 6 a.m., his uptime metrics are fantastic and he didn't hurt our brand uptime at all, right? Like they had it, so because we'll get that every once in a while, right? Like they'll be shutting down for the day and they'll go to put it in the clean cycle and it'll error out. So they'll put in a ticket. The tech will be out there first thing in the morning, and it got locked in or something was stuck or whatever, and the tech will figure it out. But basically, it's to see how much we have our ovens up percentage wise.
Right.
You can start to heat map it, right? So this area has trouble with it, or this market has trouble with it. And then we can target with what we need to help with. Do we need more techs in the area? Do we need more training in the area? What do we need to do for this store, right? Because that's what your customer is, a street customer, right? My customer is a corporate customer that responds to a street customer. So it's an extra there's an extra layer of metrics I got to build out there. So, but that's what I do.
It's what you do.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And you're good at it. And that's why you have so much insight. And that's why I love when you come on these lives with us.
Yeah.
So awesome, man. Well, we've been rocking for 40 minutes and
we got a video to film.
We are actually headed out right now for the hashtag Get Out Go Eat initiative. We're going to film at a place called House of Flavor. It's a vegan restaurant.
Nice.
So
Taz is like, I don't know about that.
Oh no! Hey, here's the deal. Hey, call your cousin Jill. I'm sure she'd be excited.
Yeah, I know. You're right.
Vegan food does not scare me like it scares a lot of people. I don't have a problem with vegan or vegetarian food at all. But you have to do it right? Like this
place does it really well.
Yeah. So if you're doing it right, I'm good with it. I'm good with it all day long. I tell people, like, I don't do liver. Like, that's one thing I won't do. And I don't like peaches. I don't know where that came from or why. Peach is a fruit that I won't touch.
I don't like peaches either. I don't like peach flavored anything. I don't like peach anything.
No. Yeah, I'm with you there. But
I don't know. I don't like.
Outside of that, though, I'll try. It is if you're cooking it and it's seasoned. I'm from the South too, right? So, like, let me tell you something. You get invited over to dinner and they'd have possum, and you're like,
what?
You'd be in trouble if you turned it down, right? Your mom would hear about it. You'd be in trouble.
Oh, man.
I don't know. Maybe that's where it came from.
We don't want to.
Don't try it. It's not good. But
I imagine.
It's not.
No. So, all right, brother. Listen, thank you for jumping on.
Yep. Awesome.
Listen, we're taking down a fired up episode on a Monday. If you ever want to jump on like Taz does, just let us know. We're going to put the link in there. You can get fired up live with the people. And listen, I hope you have a great week. We'll definitely see you mañana. And go kill your Monday. Go crush it. See you on the next one.